recently drove out to Cannon Beach to reset. With the world still hanging from COVID, another year drawing to a close, and the 10-year anniversary of my mother's passing, December brought a culmination of big emotions. I feel like I accomplished so much this year, and I'm proud of myself for that, but I couldn't help but feel a big hole in my heart from this grief and this longing. Our lives are shaped by those who raised us, and my family's story is one of exodus from our homeland, moving constantly, so we never established a root system of close friends and family, and healing from the impact of domestic violence, some aspects I haven't been able to look at until more recently. And 10 years after she's gone, I still wonder about her. What happened when we left Taiwan? Why didn't she just contact her old friends? And when did she lose her joy? People always said that I look exactly like my mom, and in many ways I had inherited the loneliness and grief of losing our home, our roots, as she did. Hi friends, I wanted to make this video because I actually really struggled with whether or not I should do this at all. But after speaking with some friends and people in my community, I really came to realize that I wasn't the only one struggling through something in December. So 2020 as a whole has been an incredibly challenging and intense year for many of us. And I think even for those of us who didn't necessarily outwardly feel like it was intense, we were still forced to look at things that maybe we weren't willing to acknowledge before. And so with this year coming to a close, I had actually participated in a beautiful online retreat with one of my mentors, Aria Kingray. And it was a beautiful weekend ceremony honoring our soul's work, honoring our life's work. And then December 7th, the anniversary of my mom's passing, hit. And it just threw everything out the window. Just before that, I had started promoting a brand new program called Integrated. And with everything that was happening and with the degree of grief that I was feeling, I just wouldn't feel good promoting anything. It would just feel out of alignment. And so I pulled back and really allowed myself to sit with the really big uncomfortable feelings. But thankfully I had Aria to help me process a lot of what I was going through. And I want to share a little bit of that process with you because I think that it may be helpful. Essentially what she helped me to do was to sit with this huge discomfort while holding space for the good things, for stillness, for joy, for what still wanted to come through in this offering, but I wasn't able to see it because I was struggling. I was going through this rough patch. And her process is really based on connecting with this felt sense in our body and coming back to our bodies. And so she helped me to get back in touch with my body and where these feelings of grief, of joy, of stillness, of this offering, and of control, where were these things sitting and living in relationship to my body? And she helped me through this kind of meditation where we hold those points simultaneously and simply receive the wisdom that came through. And what I want to share about that process that was so transformational for me was the appearance of this beautiful grandmother ancestor who had shown herself to me probably at least 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So just to rewind a little bit, I had read a book by Dr. Daniel Four and had even taken a couple of his online courses because I wanted to get reconnected with this aspect of home, of my lineage, of where my people came from. But the process was really sad, to be honest. It was really sad to sit with that. And I felt like often in that ancestral process, I was churning up a lot of feelings around missing my mom and missing my grandparents and missing these anchors that I had to my home and to my mother tongue. And because it always bubbled up so much sadness for me, I kind of just stopped with that whole process. But during my studies, I did have this vision of a grandmother ancestor in our homeland in southern China. And there was always this vision of this red bird that appeared with her. And I believe the association with that red bird is probably that it comes from our hometown. And her presence is so visceral. It's so clearly known to me beyond anything that my mind can construct, because she has this like effervescent, childlike playfulness and joy to her that for me, in my mind and in my conscious existence at that time, I wasn't even able to access. And in fact, it was a bit triggering for me because I'm like, I'm so sad right now. I'm so sitting with these big emotions that I can't possibly touch joy. Like, just like, don't even go there, right? And as Arya was holding me through this process and I held those points in stillness and through the feeling of joy, I felt this grandmother ancestor come forth. And I felt her to the bones of my core. And it makes me emotional to even talk about it because she really reminded me that how I can honor these aspects of my lineage and of my home and where I came from is to bring these aspects of my tradition to life in my everyday. Over the next few days, I spent a lot of time journaling, cleaning, organizing, and giving away a ton of clothing. It felt important to make space for what's next. I felt inspired to shoot these blog videos and share what's on my heart and use my voice again. I put a picture of my mom and grandparents on my altar to remind me of our connection. It no longer felt sad, it felt like an honoring. I created space in my calendar that included Christmas and the Chinese Zongzi Festival, the Winter Solstice Festival, which traditionally includes ancestor worship. It felt really good to hold my ancestral traditions close, remove these structures that felt more like an obligation, and instead create pockets of remembering, of touching joy, of coming home. As the days grow shorter, I'm grateful for Milo, who teaches me about presence every single day.
Hi, Milo. He loves his sunspot.
I seriously don't know what I'd do with myself if Milo wasn't around. I'm truly grateful for his companionship. So friend, if December feels hard, or If 2020 took you to dark places that made you question everything, know that you're not alone. We can take solace knowing that it's making space for something important. There is support, but sometimes we just have to ask. And home isn't just the place we grew up, but home is alive with meaning, with texture, with love, with presence. Home is in the heart.